R-Truth and Carlito announced that they will not be returning to WWE and that they are being released. Let's talk about it. So both Carlito and R-Truth caught the internet wrestling community, and it seemed like the backstage of WWE as well, pretty off guard when they announced on social media that their contracts will not be renewed and that they will officially be released by the WWE. Now, on this channel, we're not here to just break news. We're here to talk about it and analyze it and give points of views and perspective, not just from myself, but from you all as well. So make sure you leave a comment down below in regards to this discussion we're about to have and let me know your thoughts. So while it's pretty awful that both R-Truth and Carlito were released, and particularly R-Truth, I mean, this is a guy who's been with WWE for such a long time. It's pretty terrible. It sucks to see both of these guys' contracts not being renewed. I think it's important to kind of look and note at a couple things. First of all, why was this so shocking? Well, for a number of different reasons, but for the main one being the fact that R-Truth did just work John Cena like 2 weeks ago on Saturday Night's Main Event and was involved in what is currently the biggest story in pro wrestling, which is the John Cena retirement tour, only to be released 2 weeks later. And Carlito, while he hasn't really done much really since he's came back to WWE, is still a staple in the Judgment Day and is getting TV time weekly. So it's surprising to see both of these guys go. What I want to talk about and focus on in this video is not necessarily just these releases. These releases are surprising, but R-Truth is 53 years old. Carlito's 46 years old. These are guys that are more on the back nine of their careers. And so while it does suck, it is pretty justifiable if you just look at that part of it alone. But I think it could signify something that's going on within the WWE. Since TKO has taken over the WWE, it's not a family-run business any longer. Yeah, Triple H is still in charge. Stephanie McMahon is still around and doing things. But this is a business that is run by businessmen who are looking at the profits, they're looking at the margins, they're looking at the revenue and how they can increase that. And you've seen it already with the insane prices of things in WWE, the way that they've now gotten into the sports trading card game now more than ever, all the things that they've done, all the ways they've partnered with fanatics, and just it's a money-making machine now is WWE. And they're looking at everything, and it's not any more evident than these releases that they're just not seeing the value in a guy like an R-Truth who is a comedy guy. Carlito's kind of the same way. They're just there to make people laugh for a few minutes and then move on to the Rhea Ripley or Becky Lynch or Cody Rhodes segment. They don't really see the value in that because they're not pushing the merch. Although R-Truth did just have a top-selling shirt with the John Cena thing, but nonetheless, these are guys who are not pushing that merch consistently. They're not draws. They're not driving people into the building, and I get it. I understand that. But although they are looking at this just from a business perspective, it's important to look at the WWE as more than just that. These are performers. These are athletes. And so if we're comparing it to a sports team, which I think at this point WWE can be compared to that because they are treating themselves like a sports organization. They want to be seen with the likes of the NFL and the NBA. You can see it, the way that they're maneuvering and operating with Tops and Fanatics and pushing merchandise and getting their guys on ESPN and now on NBC with Saturday Night's Main Event. And they're just trying to be known as a sports franchise as well as an entertainment franchise. It is sports and entertainment. At the end of the day, we know that's what WWE kind of prides themselves on. If you look at a basketball team, there's guys who are on the end of the bench, the 14th, 15th guys who don't really play that often, but they're the mentors for the team. They're the mentors for the younger guys. They're showing guys, look, this is how you become an athlete. This is how you manage your money. This is how you should eat. This is how you should train. This is how you should exercise. This is how you should take time off. All those type of things, right? All really good teams have them, to be honest, for the most part. Look at the Indiana Pacers who are in the NBA Finals. They have James Johnson, who doesn't play at all, but he's been in the NBA forever, and he's a guy who's going to show guys how you operate, how you don't put up with anything, how you handle yourself on the court. The Miami Heat did this forever with Udonis Haslem. Every team that's successful really has one of those guys, and sometimes they play, sometimes they don't. Very similar to R-Truth, right? You plug him into a John Cena storyline for a couple weeks, and it's cool, it's good, whatever. Then you can take him out. He can still be that mentor, still be that leader, and you really saw that come to light with how many people on social media were showing their support for R-Truth. Girls and guys both in the locker room tweeting about how much R-Truth has meant to them. And so what is the value of keeping someone like that? And Carlito, kind of similar. He's been around forever within WWE and outside of it. What is the value of keeping somebody like that who can mentor, who can help train, who can help these athletes kind of navigate the WWE, even though they're not on TV that often, even though they're not draws? I personally think there is a lot of value in that, and I don't think you should release someone like an R-Truth or a Carlito, but really an R-Truth, because we know how much he's meant to so many people in the locker room, just for the sake of margin, just for the sake of like a profit or this and that. We know WWE is doing very, very well, and I think that they can afford to have somebody on the roster like an R-Truth to kind of help the younger talent and look at it like a force multiplier, right? Him being there helps the other talent, helps the locker room, helps morale, helps everything. All of those things kind of play a factor. Back before the TKO purchase, even before, after Vince was gone, it was just Triple H. It did seem like WWE was more family centric, right? And guys were seen as WWE lifers. And I think a lot of people saw R-Truth as a WWE lifer, someone who was going to be around for as long as they possibly wanted to be in the business. They would be with WWE. I don't think those people exist anymore unless it's a Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or someone at that top tier. I really don't think they exist. Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. Again, WWE's really always been about like loyalty and family and all those type of things. I mean, think about the Samoan dynasty. I think that's probably the best example you could give of loyalty and how they've been so loyal to that family and always giving people shots dating back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever it was, up until now, where they basically are running WWE. It has been a lot about loyalty. Wrestling generally is about that. And I think you're taking that away a little bit, which is surprising. And I did read a report that this was a Triple H decision, and I found that kind of shocking, to be honest. I thought that it wouldn't be that, because I don't think this was necessarily a wrestling decision. I think this was a business decision. And again, this is a business at the end of the day. We all have to understand that WWE is changing and evolving, and I think it's both great that WWE is now more mainstream than it's ever been, because there's a lot of people who are now watching wrestling and people who are falling back in love with it or falling in love with it for the first time. And there's nothing like pro wrestling. Anyone who's watching this video is a pro wrestling fan, I'm assuming. And so you understand that it's the greatest thing in the world. And so having more eyeballs on it is a great thing, in my opinion. But there's clear downsides that are coming with that, and it just has me thinking, like, what does the future of the WWE really look like? I saw the internet wrestling community's reaction to this, and I agreed and disagreed. I thought there was maybe a slight overreaction just because people really love R-Truth, and he seems like a great dude and is always great when he's on camera. He's just always doing something that's entertaining, which is part of what WWE is now. And so I did kind of get that part. People were kind of losing their minds a little bit, but I think people were losing their minds not necessarily just on R-Truth himself being released, although that part does obviously suck. More so worried about what is going on and what is going to be the future of WWE when it comes to these things, because these type of roles have always been important in wrestling. Having these guys who can be the entertainment for even just a couple minutes in between all the serious stuff that goes on in wrestling, right? These guys have always been a staple of the show. There's so much wrestling. There's 2.5 to 3 hours of Raw. There's 3 hours of SmackDown. You need guys like this who can liven up either the TV or the people that are in attendance, and R-Truth was fantastic at that. Carlito was good at it as well. And now to see both of them go, it's like, And it's weird as both of them, because they both are kind of that comedic role. Is that a role that's now disappearing within wrestling because they want to be seen more like serious? Or are they going to replace those roles with like celebrities that come in and do funny stuff because it'll get them more like engagement. That's the thing I think people are really worried about, that I can agree with, that I can really get on board with, because I don't want that. Like, I'm good with Bert Kreischer, whatever his name is, and all those guys. I'm good. I think it's cool sometimes when celebrities come in and do spots here and there. You know, Austin Theory always is the guy that gets choke slammed by Jelly Roll or whoever. Like, that's cool for a spot here and there, especially if it like enhances a story that's already there. But I'm hoping that that's not like the solution by releasing guys like this. That's where my concern is, and kind of the question I'm posing you all is, are these releases worrisome to you in the sense of where WWE may be heading, both with this type of role on camera, as well as not really seeing the value in having like mentors and leaders and those things in the locker room? Are they just going to focus on the numbers? Because I think that's bad for the business as well. Now, before I get out of here, I did want to talk a little bit about what I think is next for both of these guys, because I think they're both going to be okay. And that's the thing that I think has been great about AEW, about the rise of like independent wrestling. I think both these guys will be okay on the independent circuit if that's the way they go. I think R-Truth especially will kill it for sure on the independents. I think a lot of people are going to be excited to meet him. He's someone that's been with WWE for a long time, like I mentioned. So the fact that people will have the opportunity to meet him if they've never been to like a WWE sponsored event, I think will be great for fans who will get a chance to meet him before he retires, if that's what he ends up doing. For Carlito, I think it could be similar. I know he just was like wrestling in his home country of Puerto Rico, so I think that he'll, maybe help elevate the wrestling over there, which could be good for the product as a whole, which could be good for wrestling as a whole. So I think inevitably these guys will both be okay, which is great. Again, it's great that WWE is not the only thing anymore out there. People can make a living doing other things. I think that's really great for the business, for wrestling in general, as well as for the person. Like, this is their livelihood. This is how they feed their families and make money. So the fact they can continue to do that is great as well. And I think both of these guys will be in high demand, and I think they'll be hopefully okay. And I'm excited to see what both of them do next, but it really does suck that both of them were released and their contracts will not be renewed. And it's potentially a scary sign of things to come for WWE, although it seems minor. It's just R-Truth, it's just Carlito. I get that. I get those of you watching this video that are saying that. I get that. But is this something we look back on 6 months from now and go, oh, that was a sign. That was a sign. Or is it not? Is it not? Is it just these guys are older, their contracts are running out, it was just time? We will see. That's for you guys to let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these releases and about where WWE is and where it may be headed over the next 6 months to a year. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and checking out this video, listening to me ramble on and talk. Again, let me know your comments down below. I would love to talk with you all about this a little more in the comment section and hear your thoughts and your perspective on this. If you enjoyed, if you want to like and subscribe to the channel, I appreciate it. You don't have to, but I do appreciate anyone who does that. And thank you all so much for just stopping by. The goal here is to create the best community online when it comes to wrestling. This is a spot where we can just talk, hang out, talk in the comments about what's going on, give our takes, give our viewpoints, give our opinions, no judgment. It's really just to have fun. We all love wrestling at the end of the day. So that's really what this is for. So I would appreciate to hear your guys' insight, and hopefully you guys can have some good conversation as well.